G'day guys, Dom here, and welcome to Friday Knife Drop. So this is actually take 2 of this video. The previous take was interrupted by a text message from my machinist, and he's just letting me know that all of the surgeon blades are now finished being machined. So if you're on the surgeon list, we're ahead of schedule. They're going to come back to me probably next week, and then I'll get them ground, off to heat treat, and then from there it's coatings. So we're well ahead of schedule right now, which is great news. At this point we've got a decent amount of them sold in advance, with the pre-sale, which is still available on the website. And I'm probably going to be offloading some of them to my, to my retailers. So hopefully we'll get those done pretty soon, get them on the website and get them out to people. And so anyway, this week we got a bunch of stuff done. I got 2 Moribus knives done, some friction folders, and most importantly the rings. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting a really long time on my rings. And that's because in the past, with my old process, I wasn't really making them in the most efficient way. But I've actually changed my processes up on the rings, and now I can do them almost individually. So my wait's going to go down from 6 months down to 1 or 2 months, which makes my life a whole hell of a lot easier, it makes your lives easier, it makes ordering a ring a whole lot easier for everyone involved. So we'll do a close-up real quick and we'll cover the rings. So these are my rings. If you have a look at them, they've got that nice rock texture all on the outside, which I'm known for. It's a fairly aggressive rock texture. I do it with a smaller contact wheel, which gives that really aggressive like rock look, for lack of a better term. I've also done a finer texture here, you have a look, all on the outside as well on both surfaces. Just kind of give you that rough, raw look. People always ask how they are with wear, and this is my own personal ring. I wear this quite a bit. I don't wear it in the workshop while I'm working for safety reasons, but I mean, I open beer bottles with this thing all the time. I'm not exactly gentle with this thing, and it still looks pretty bloody good. The way I build my rings, I want them to look good the more worn they get. So I go with these more brutal looks with these brush peaks, and as it gets worn, it kind of blends into the finish, and it doesn't look very obvious when it kind of gets, dented up a little bit. Also, a new feature on these things is that the internal parts of these here are now polished. That's because I found out a new way of doing them, and it makes life a little bit easier and lets me do that little polished internal part, which is not something you're going to see when you're wearing the ring, but it's just a nice little feature. It brings the ring together, it makes it look a little bit more professional. And it just looks really, really nice to have that polished internal surface right there. And it also helps it slide a little bit on your finger. It makes that a little bit more comfortable, I find. It kind of helps with the rounding on the internal of the ring, because there actually is sort of the rings are rounded internally, which kind of makes it a little bit easier to take on and off, which is a nice little feature. And yeah, so that's pretty much all of them. These are on the website. I also have these ones on the website. I don't make stock of these things, so if you're wondering, you have to place an order. It's just not really something I can stock because obviously everyone's got different sized fingers and stuff. Next up, we got these things. So these are the Gentoo Slenders. Now, I'm not somebody who likes to, just make a design and say, that's it, this is how we're going to make it forever and ever and ever. I kind of like to do new generations of things. So you've seen that with the Grunts, you've seen that with the Primus, you've seen that with the Surgeons. What I like to do is kind of make a design, make a bunch of, and then in a year or two, I make a Gen 2 version of it, and I update the design with a lot of the feedback I've got, and that kind of keeps my designs fresh, relevant, and it means I'm not really making a design from like 4 years ago that's out of date, It helps me it's just kind of my way of staying relevant and making interesting shit that people actually want, and making the best product I can, pretty much. So these have basically been changed up to make them better as far as the blade to handle ratio goes. So I've kind of made the design look a little bit sleeker. I've made the blade a little bit bigger, handle a little bit smaller, and just makes it a nice package overall. And I've also made that a little bit angular. It's just minor features. It's still the same knife, it's just been, the designs are modified to make it more within my current styling. So these are my friction folders. So you can kind of see some of the changes on these things. They've got a slightly longer blade and slightly smaller handles. That means I've just kind of cut this down a little bit and changed this my lanyard location. So instead of having it up here, which kind of forces the blade to get smaller and the handle bigger, I've put it here, which kind of lets me get a better ratio from blade to handle. I've also changed this area up here, kind of make it a little bit sleeker, a little concave area here, just to make it again look a bit sleeker, and shorten this part here, and just overall made it sleeker, nicer, kind of more of a just updated design, if that makes sense. So I did both of these with my scratch pad in here. Which is kind of nice. It's basically just anodized and then brushed up and gives you that really worn sort of industrial look. And it makes it a little bit stronger, hides wear a little bit better, and just a better finish than just regular old titanium. And it looks a little bit different. I'm kind of sick and tired of just seeing the same titanium handles over and over and over again. So whatever I can do to kind of stand out a little bit is good. I've also got these new hardware on these things, which are now recessed. Previous versions, they were kind of just on top, mostly because I couldn't really do them properly with a counter bore. But I've got a mill now, so I can, and it just looks a little bit more professional to have that nice, you know, set in hardware. And the screws here as well, we've got some fancy screws there. And let me tell you, those things are not cheap. They're like $3-4 bucks a piece. So yeah, there's probably like 25 bucks worth of hardware on each one of these knives. This one here is 002 with an Asus stonewash blade, screaming sharp. These are both at CP 154. This one is with bead blasted hardware and a two-tone pivot and a G10 backspacers, which is filed. And something I'm doing recently with my backspacer is kind of chamfering them on the handle of the backspacer. It kind of gives you that better looking fit between the backspacer and titanium. And this is 001. This is actually with a slightly darker anodizing. And I've actually rounded the edges on this thing over instead of just chamfering them. That was totally on purpose. It wasn't because I fucked up the chamfers and had to fix it by rounding it. This was totally a planned thing. This one here has got it anodized and then a brushed pivot, more along the lines of the handle. And then the stone here is actually bead blasted and then stone washed. It's kind of just a different look to the straight Asus stonewash finish. If you look here, this one's also got a satin chamfers, which I forgot to mention before. So these are both on the website. Very, very nice knives. Titanium frames on them, so they've got that really, really nice titanium friction folder action. These are both exceptionally nice knives and some of the best friction folders I've made. I was actually very tempted to discontinue the Slenders, but after I made these things, I can't discontinue them, man. I like them too much. So we're going to doing at least make them for another few months, and we'll see how they go. If sales tank, I'll obviously stop making them. But at the moment, I'm having fun with them, and with the new Gentoo versions, they're just a nicer, sexier knife overall. So yeah, 001 and 002 are now on the website. So next up we have the Moribus knives. Now I actually saw this one here that was being worked on in the previous vlog, and this is actually going to be shown in the next week's vlog. This was kind of just laid up. Took a little bit longer and I kind of had to mess around with it a little bit. But these are solid knives, very comfortable. This thing here is screaming sharp. It is one of the sharpest knives I've done in a while, and it is just scary. I put a lot of work into making this thing really smooth, on both of them actually, and they're just really smooth and just nice in the hand. There's no sharp spots on your hand, and it's just a tool you can use for a really, really long time. That should be the thumbnail right there. Random side thought. Yeah, so we've got two of these on the website as well. Do some close-ups real quick and show you what they look like. Last but not least, we have the two Moribus knives. Now this one here has got a half-finished sheath. It's going to be done by the time this video uploads because it's going to take like 4 hours to upload. It's just something that I didn't get time to do before the video. But we'll start off with this one. You'll have seen this in the previous vlog, and it didn't really make it to the previous Friday blade drop, so we're going to be covering it today. Again, nicely rounded polished edges. The sheath, it's in there, but it comes off nicely. And here is the blade. So I've been kind of messing around with my logos recently. So I kind of wanted to try a jumbo logo, kind of slightly canted, just trying to make it a bit more interesting. I'm constantly trying to be more and more original. I think the knife industry as a whole is in a bit of a slump right now because you're just seeing the same knife over and over and over again. So whatever I can do to kind of be different basically is a good thing in my opinion. So we've got an Asus stonewash blade on this thing, rounded spine. We've got those 6 jimping there, so it kind of really locks into your hand. The Moribus knives are definitely the hard workers of the DB Blades lineup. On the handles, we have G10 handles with a rock texture, heavily sandblasted with black liners, and then we've got some canvas micarta pins, which is just looking oh so sexy. I'm pretty much completely switched over to synthetic pins versus steel. It's just a nicer look in my opinion. And then a bit of paracord there. And this one's actually marked 005. 12C27 steel and just rock solid. I mean, this thing is just ready to do some serious work. And then this guy. So this was the LSD fucking G10. I did a video on this G10 years ago. It's just like a fucking crazy acid trip. So this is basically layer G10, black and green, obviously. Kind of ground the crap out of this thing with a Dremel and gives you that really cool sort of wavy effect. So if you look at the handles, it's basically an Anzo pattern with the edges cut off. and then little grooves cut inside the pattern. So it's like 3 patterns in one. And it kind of gives you that crazy different contrast with all the lines and everything going crazy. Everything's nicely rounded. The internals here, like here is rounded off, here is actually rounded off, everything. Like here, every part on this knife, except for the edge, is nicely rounded off and comfortable. And just, the knife feels like it kind of grabs you back, if you know what I mean. It's a tool that just wants to do some serious work. The blade finish on this is bead blasted stonewash, which is kind of just a sort of a non-reflective, but very hard-working finish. Small logo here, just cause, kind of on the flat area between the grinds. And then we have it marked 006. And then of course black G10 pins as well. And this one was just screaming for a lanyard, so I chucked on a little G10 lanyard, which just matches it nicely and just brings the whole knife together. So these two are also on the website. All right, so that's the knives, guys. This is all on the website. The rings are on the website too. If you like a ring, hit me up. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.